What's going on, guys? Tricky Designs here, bringing you my first Cinema 4D tutorial. In fact, my first tutorial ever. And in this tutorial, I'll be talking about the introduction of Cinema 4D. So in this tutorial, I'll be assuming that this is the first time you open up Cinema 4D. You have no idea, excuse me, what's going on, or you pretty much you don't know you don't even know how to move around. None of that. Like, this is obviously a 3D program, so you should be able to know how to move around. But I remember when I started Cinema 4D maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't know anything, absolutely nothing, and there wasn't really any tutorials to help me out on how to get started and what every single one of these buttons mean and what they do. And I won't cover every button in this tutorial because that would be such a long tutorial, because Cinema 4D has it's just such a big program. You can do so much with it. So I'll just be talking about the basics and how pretty much how well organized this program is. Right, so as I said, this is my first tutorial, so if I choke or anything, please bear with me, and yeah, try to follow me. Right, if you have a question or any comments, anything at all, just leave it in the comment section. I'm active on my YouTube channel, so I will for sure get back to you as soon as I see it. But anyways, guys, let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about the layout of Cinema 4D to get things started. So first of all, when you're using a 3D program, the main thing, the most important thing, is to be able to know how to move. Now we have 3 icons here, or 4 icons, but we won't be worrying about the 4 icons. This is much more in depth. But these 3 first icons is more of something that's important. So these 4 arrows pointing outwards, we're just going to click on that, and now we can move the mouse around, which is going to allow us to go left, right, up, and down. And you can only move side to side, up and down, with this icon of 4 arrows. You won't be able to go forward or rotate around any object. It's just left, right, up, and down. So then we have the 2 arrows pointing outwards, kind of from the center. This is to move forward and backwards, as you can see. Once again, you just click on the icon and you just drag your mouse, and you should be able to get that motion. And we have the 2 arrows pointing to each other, making a circle around it, and that's to rotate around a 3D object or something like that. Right, so now we know how to move, which is really good. I will say that this requires a little bit of practice, but the more you use the program, the more you're going to get used to it. I can remember myself having a little bit of issue with it, but yeah, that's quite easy. You're just going to get it. So next thing I want to talk about is this big area right here that we have no idea what it's for. So this is one reason why I like Cinema 4D so much. This area is to show every element that we have in our 3D program in our projects. So let's say, for instance, if I drop a cube in here by pressing this little cube button right here, I'll drop down the cube, and then as you can see, we have it right here in our project right here. And if I have like 3 cubes, then all my 3 cubes are going to be in here. And this is really good to go back and edit some things that you should have edited earlier and that you don't like, or just to modify things. This is really easy. We won't talk about the check marks for now, because it's a little bit more in depth. You can experiment as well if you want, but we're just going to skip that part ahead. Right, so I'm going to delete these 2 cubes, leaving this one. And now we have here unless you have anything selected, you'll have an empty space. But if you select an object in your project, then you'll end up with this attribute tabs, I should say. This is the area to modify tools or objects, and you'll come down here more to modify objects. Unless you're modeling, then you could. No, you can modify tools and objects pretty much the same amount in here. So I come down here once in a while to modify my tools and objects as well. So forget everything I just said. This is to modify tools and objects in here. So as you can see, we can change the size of the x-axis of our cube. So this moves it. I could say the width, I guess, then the height and the depth right here. This is the axis. And the segments. That's a little bit more complicated. I'm just gonna skip that part and fill it. Pretty much, so you pretty much know what this is for. It's just pretty much editing, modifying objects in here. And then won't worry about these for now. This is pretty much just an editor right here. So you have to select something in your project, then edit it down here. I could say it like that. Then I'm gonna skip forward to the timeline right here. This is the time of your frame. So right now I'm on frame 25. Now I'm on frame 51. That's the green. That's what the green bar does. My timeline is set on seconds. I'll be showing you guys. Yours is most likely set on frames. I'll be showing how to change them to second in next tutorials, or if you want to know now. I'm pretty sure there are other YouTube videos that shows how to change them. It's quite fairly simple. Here we have, you know, you can just hover over these buttons and it'll pretty much tell you what they do. Like this is go to the end, go to the end, go to beginning, or go to start, and then this is play it, pause it, and then next frames, and then previous keyframes. Won't talk about that for now. For the people that know how the timeline works, this is a keyframe, and this is auto keying. For the people that don't know how keyframes work, I'll be talking about that in the next tutorial. So just so you know, we have a lot of tutorials coming and a lot of things to clear in this program. So I hope that in the end of all my tutorials, which will be in a long time, I'll always bring more tutorials, but I hope that after a certain amount of tutorials, you know most of what you're doing in this program, and you won't really have a need to go back and watch these tutorials again. So, moving on, here we have an empty box that you have no idea what this is for again. This is where it's kind of like our box right here, only though this is to store your materials or your shaders. So if you want to create a new shader, you can go create a new material, or you can just double click in here. Similar for you to call it materials. I'm more familiar with material, but I think that in some programs they call it shaders. So like shader, I'll call this shader. I'm not going to talk about like everything in this about the material, how to edit the material. That's going to be in the next tutorial. But for now, the default, I'm going to use the default material as an example, so you can drop it onto your objects or just in here. As I said before, you can drop it in here, and as you can see, it made it white as the material is white. Like I said, we won't talk about the materials for now. Also, you can double click on here and just rename your objects. So in this case, I'll call that test object. Okay, so then our test object is white. So I'm just gonna delete that material. I'll leave it there. Next thing I want to talk about is these buttons right here. Now I'm gonna skip through a few buttons in here, because most of them you won't really have. It's a little bit more in depth. So I'll just be going through these. So here we have undo and redo. The shortcut for that is Control Z and Control Y, like in any other programs. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Undo and redo. I don't think I have to go through that. Live selection, we'll skip that because we'll see that in another tutorial for sure. Now the move tool, as it says in its name, it's meant to move objects and meshes and polygons. So if I select my test object right here, my cube, I can grab these arrows and move on the given axis. So the z-axis, on the z-axis, the red is x-axis and the green is y-axis. You can also click outside these arrows and move like this. Kind of, how can I call it? Without moving any specific axes. or you can also even grab like the little folders right here, kind of, and that will pretty much depending on what color it is. So in this, for example, this one's blue. The folder is blue, so that disables the blue arrow, allowing you only moving on the Y and X axis. But as you can see, I can't move in my Z axis, so it pretty much disables it. Don't worry if you don't get it. I've actually never even used this before, but just gonna put it out there. Here we have our scale tool, which is to shrink and enlarge objects. So if I move out, then this is 249 times bigger than the original test object that I had, this one. And if I shrink it, this is 25.1% smaller. No, 25.1% of its original size. So as maybe some of you have, if you've had to use scaling things in math so far, maybe if you're still in school, maybe you understand, or you remember, I should say, the way scaling works with percentages. If it does, then I'm not going to start explaining that, but good for you if it does. This is the rotate tool, same thing as all the other tools. You can just click on the bands right here. This is the Z-axis, X-axis, Y-axis. You can rotate with that, or once again, you can just click out. No, in this case, you can't click out. You have, if you want to click out and move more than one axis at a time, then you have to click in the circle, but not out of the circle, like this. Well, that's what it is for me. Oh, and by the way, before I keep going, I know that some of you might have different versions of Cinema 4D. Mine is the R16 Studio. So some of you might see something different than what I'm seeing, but you should be able to follow along pretty well with the basics of these. Because yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. You should be able to follow along. Anyways, I just wanted to let it out there that you guys might not have these two buttons right here, and this button, and etc. So moving on, here we have our history of tools, which is just pretty much shows you the last tools you've used, just so you can go back and select them quicker, or if you don't know the shortcut or something, you know, it's always here. Here I don't use this a lot here, but this is locks of axes. So for example, if I want to lock my Z axis, hold on, let me just zero everything out in here. Okay. Don't worry about what I just did, it's just so I can show everything a little bit better. Don't worry about that yet. Right, the x-axis, so if I would select this and it becomes black like that, no, not blue, that means it's locked. So I shouldn't be, as you can see, the arrow is kind of opaque a little bit. That gets you, so if I move, unless you select the axis itself, then that gets the axis locked. So as you can see, on my X position right here, it's not moving at all. But if I do enable it, it is moving. So I don't really use this a lot, but you know, it could be useful sometimes. So same goes with all the axes. I'm sure I don't need to show all of them individually. I don't know what this does, so I'm just gonna skip it. Renders. This is all you need to know for these three buttons is this one and this one for now. This allows you to preview your renders. So if you were to save an image or something or an animation, then this allows you to see how it would look like. And this is to actually save it. Don't worry about this one. I will be talking about render settings and how rendering works in the following tutorials. So don't really worry about these yet. Then here we have a bunch of shapes that we'll be using for modeling purposes later on. The way to access this bigger folder is just to click and hold, and anything that has a little arrow in the corner right here of the icons, and that means it's a drop down folder, and you can just drop it down, then you can access like more tools or meshes and objects. So same with this, you know, it's a drop down. Excuse me. I won't be talking about splines yet. That's going to be in another tutorial. Like I said, this tutorial is going to be for the very basics. If I covered everything in Cinema 4D, that would take days. So I'll be covering that in another tutorial. Same with this, same with this. These are just effects, and I won't be showing you how to use them. It's just effects. I'll show you how to use them in another tutorial, but not in this one. And pretty much the only thing you have to worry about is these two buttons right here. You have a light. In every scene you need a light, unless you're using the default light in Cinema 4D, which is not a good light. But as you guys are just starting, maybe it'll be good enough for you. And we have a camera right here, which is you know, just a camera just to save your angles of views. We'll be talking about cameras later on. So before I finish this tutorial, we have 5 or 6 more things I want to talk about. So here we have file. I'm pretty sure most of you know what this does. It's in every program, most likely. You know, start a new project, you press new, open, blah blah blah. Just by reading the options we have here, you should know what they mean. Edit, we won't worry about that. So the only thing we will worry about that other than that is here, window, where it says on tower 1, that's my project. So if you have more than one project, let's say if I go file, new, it'll bring me down here, and if I want to switch back between projects to projects, then I could just go back in my untitled one, and there you go. And that's how you shuffle between projects. Now, one other thing is cameras right here. This is to move on a locked perspective, so if I were to move on my left perspective, then I wouldn't be able to rotate around the object. Like it'd be pretty much a 2D view. Excuse me, I'm just gonna go back. It'd be pretty much a 2D view of the left axis, pretty much, and so on for the other ones. Right, you got top, and this is just sometimes you need these for positions and whatnot, and you know, it's pretty complicated, so I might add that too, and you'll guys get it as I use it in the next tutorials. But yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, it's just different angles of views. Here we have our display. In most of our tutorials, we'll be using grid shading and lines, which shows you our segments. So if I increase these segments of my cube right here, increase them, you see the lines, and that helps in modeling, and I do modeling a lot in my tutorials, so you guys will, excuse me, you guys will probably have to use grid shading lines. So switch back, excuse me, damn, switch back to grid shading. Yep. Options, we won't worry about that. Now filter is more of a complex one, but I will put it in this tutorial for just for knowledge purposes, let's say. Just let's say if I didn't want the grid because I think it's annoying, like the grid right here, like the lines on the floor and yeah, just the lines on the floor. I don't want that because maybe it's annoying and it's getting in the way. Then just go filter and grid, and you can pretty much turn off a bunch of stuff that you don't want in your project. So there's like horizon over there, I think, yeah, horizon over there, and just it's pretty much turn things on and off in your layout that you don't want. So I think that's about it for this tutorial. I hope you guys learned at least a little bit from this tutorial. This is kind of just a little bit of an introducing to Cinema 4D. If you keep watching my tutorials, you'll learn more and more. Right now I just shown you the basics, so I don't get you all confused, and so I don't get you confused, and hopefully you understand the basics of Cinema 4D now, and you know how to move around. And there's not a whole lot that you can do with the basics I've just told you, but watching my next tutorial, you'll obviously have a little bit more of an understanding. So if this did help you, please leave a like. That would be brilliant. Comment if you have any questions. I'm always active on my YouTube channel, as I said before, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And yeah, guys, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.